Hello and welcome to Cheshire Audio. Now today I'm going to be doing a speaker review, which I don't actually do many of. So I thought I'd redress that by talking about the Fyne Audio F500, which is probably one of my favourite small stand mounts. And I feel as though they get a little bit overlooked. I think it's a new brand. They're not that well known yet. And there's the big, you've got the big two or three companies out there that just dominate the marketplace by spending ridiculous amounts on marketing or whatever. So other companies sort of get a little bit ignored, really. And Fyne Audio, the first time I heard any Fyne Audios was at the Cranage Audio show, which is quite local to here. Cranage is a village not far from here. It's just probably 5-10 miles from here. And I hadn't heard of the brand at all. There was a room there with this massive pair of floor standers, which would have been FI10s, FI12s, probably. I'm not sure which model they were, but these superbly finished, beautifully made speakers, just being driven by some small valve amps, and easily the best sound I've heard for a long time. Not just at the show, but in general, really. A fantastic, big live sound of these things. I just sort of assumed there was something Italian that would probably never be seen again. Just something you could get these brands that come to the, because Cranage is it has quite a few obscure brands. You get things that come in there, and you never, like I say, you never see them again. They're just trying to have a presence and probably find a few buyers or whatever, and then they sort of disappear away. But the Fyne Audios, I got a phone call a few months later from an old friend who'd basically got the job of working on the road with them. He's ex-Sark, I'm ex-Mix Fidelity, whatever, Dave, and he says you really need to hear these. We're building a range up. We've had quite a lot of money from the Scottish government to finance this, and we're doing great things. So we brought up the range, and they're all fabulous. I mean, the big stuff is kind of out of reach, really. I think it's kind of another story, that one, which, but yeah, they've got some more sort of affordable, lower end stuff, mid-range stuff, some quite high-end, beautifully made stuff. So it's a big range, probably, I think, in some ways a little bit too big. I think they might be trying to fill too many niches. That's my only sort of downside with Fyne. I think they might be, apart from the fact that the name is so open to puns, it's almost getting a bit ridiculous now. The amount of emails from Fyne Audio, whatever, the amount of ridiculous puns that come across. Fyne Audio, the name Fyne comes from Loch Fyne up in Scotland. So a Scottish company, made up of sort of ex-tannoy people. Mainly it's management, design team, a lot of the craftsmen, whatever, are all that sort of ex-tannoy, and that is a really good thing, because I sort of see Fyne Audio almost as a tannoy, but without any limitations on costing. They're sort of excited enthusiasts making speakers that they love, and it really shows in the products. So anyway, let's talk about the F500. Okay, so here they are, the F500s. I've got them mounted on, in this case, solid steel stands, which that's a brand, not a make, but these are the best stands I do. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're fabulous. They work really, really well. Really good support for the speakers, 3-point mount and all that sort of thing. So that's the sort of top-end stand that you'd probably use with these. I mean, they're good enough. The stands are close on £500, but the F500s are good enough to justify it. It really lifts them. Really gives them a good lifting performance. The other end of the scale-ish is they actually work really well on the little Mazzeco stands as well, which are more around the sort of 140, 150 sort of mark. Bamboo bases and that sort of thing, quite rigid, but fillable legs, I think, on those as well. So that's sort of very extreme sort of choice of stands. Right, I'll just bring one of the speakers over onto the table, so we'll have a proper look at it and go through some of the sort of features, really. Okay, so true to form, not done what I said I was going to do, just moved it towards the window so we can have a better look in the light, really. Looks as though there's a single driver, actually, the 6-inch base mid driver, but in the centre we've got titanium, what we call isoflare technology. The treble unit's in there. The isoflare is a sort of flared sort of what's almost like webbing coming out from the side, from the centre there, just to sort of focus the treble really. So you've got a single point image, which is always a really good thing. I mean, it's there's always a bit of an issue with sort of phasing and things on drive units, that they sort of, if they're next to each other, they can interfere with each other. Keeping everything central like that means you get a much better pinpoint image from the speakers. So they are very good. I mean, very much like similar tannoys. I mean, tannoy called this arrangement dual concentric. Obviously, Fyne Audio can't use that sort of term, but it's kind of dual concentric really. The clever thing with the Fynes, which has been used before, but Fyne have sort of honed the idea and made it work really well, is if you see the grille that goes all the way around, there's a solid base that the speaker sits on, and 4 little feet with the grille. There's a downward firing port. Now, I've done one of my sort of infamous terrible drawings of this, just to try and explain what's going on, because basically the air from within the speaker is ported out and comes out around this slot. Now normally, there's quite a few speakers that have done this in the past, not with the grille in this way, but quite often with a little gap. And what they do, they port the airflow downwards, and it will sort of hit its bottom board and there'll be turbulence, and eventually it'll work its way out. Fyne have been quite clever with this. They've sort of just, what's that dodgy drawing? Imagine there's your speaker cabinet. There's the base part of the speaker with port. These are the feet and the actual main base of the speaker. They've put like a cone in the middle there. They call it bass track, but basically there's like a little cone up in the middle. So as the airflow comes down, it's sort of directed by the cone in the centre, and then comes out through the grills all the way around. The actual effect of this is that it makes them very easy to place. They do seem as though, well, there's 2 things actually. They're very easy to place, and for some reason the downward firing port and being able to tune it perfectly and not sort of be reliant on how far away the port is from the back wall, front wall, the floor, whatever. That is completely controlled by the design. So the actual port works really, really well. So you get this surprising bass depth from them. You know, they sound a lot bigger than they should do. So yeah, I mean, the range-wise, this is the bottom of the 500 series range. There's a range below, which is 300, so 300, 301. 300's the little stand mount. 301s, 302s, there's sort of bigger floor standing versions. This is the only stand mount in this range at the moment. The 500, 501 is a similar looking floor standing with another driver. Then 502, which I've got a pair of downstairs as well, which are huge. I might just put everything together in a minute and just show the difference in the size of all the different models. And the 502s are phenomenal. I mean, they're really huge sound scale off them. It's just incredible speakers. So yeah, that's the front. Let's have a look around the back, see what's going on there. Yeah, at the back we've got the continuation of the sort of port going around there. We've got 4 terminals in the back, so you've got bass and treble separately, treble at the top and bass. I've had a few people finding that these needed to be tightened up when they came from the factory, which is just not many, just a couple. So if you buy a pair of these, just make sure these are nipped up. I think I've had that before on other brands, but I've just had a few recently. But yeah, so you can connect to the top 2, bottom 2, whichever you fancy. But if you take out the little links, you can then buy wire, buy amp, whatever. So they're quite. There's a few things you can do with them really. But I'm not really that into bi-wiring, but I think bi-amping is quite interesting if you run it with 2 separate power amplifiers. That works really well. So yeah, I'll just turn back around again. Yeah, so matching wise, they're quite easy. They're quite an efficient speaker. They're about 89 dB for 1 watt. So that's, it's quite easy to get the volume out of them. I mean, I actually sold a set to a chap had I think it was about a 18 watt valve amp, and it sounded really good with these, really good. Just suited that sort of presentation really. The single point source driver and valves, which are very good on Imager anyway, and it was a almost sort of holographic sound off them. It really worked well. And I also sold them with like exposures, a couple of these with Riga Alexis. It seems to be a good match, but they're very easy. They don't really present any weird loads to amplifiers, and they're quite efficient. So pretty well match anything. It's more down to personal taste of the actual balance, really, whether you like them or not. But like I say, they're sort of very easy with amplifiers, very easy with rooms. So the chances are that they're going to work. And I've got people using them on stands. I've had people actually just put a couple of rubber feet underneath and stick them on a sideboard, and they've worked even in that situation, which they shouldn't do. To be fair, it's not an ideal situation. So yeah, what else do we need to say? Oh yeah, wood finishes. I'm not sure. There's not an amazing range of finishes with these. This is the dark oak. There's also black oak, which I don't know if you can actually see. There is a texture to it. Black oak's the same. It's sort of a stained oak effect. Also do gloss black, gloss white, which looks actually really nice in the gloss finishes, but that's a bit more expensive. Also, I mean, there is, it's already come out, but there is what they call a 500 SP version of this, which I'll be doing in a future video actually, because that's a pretty much looks the same, much better finish, using the driver from the range above. But yeah, that's the future video. That's sort of the ultimate 500 really, 500 SP. So like I say, we'll do a review of that one soon, because I'm expecting mine in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks probably. We'll go through that one. But yeah, the big ideas Fyne, not to be fair. They've and there's a lot of really good models in there. You just have to take the time to search them out really. Okay, so I'll leave it there. I mean, like I say, one of my favourite sensibly priced stand mount speakers really. In spite of them having quite a big price rise recently, I really think that a lot of the Fyne audio was kind of underpriced when it came out, and they tried to keep the price very, very competitive. And they've had to have like a lot of companies now, there's been some quite big price rises for various reasons. But I actually think that particularly the 500 has ended up where it probably should have been in the first place. It might have been taken more seriously if it was the price, it sort of ended up priced as now. So yeah, that's it. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a like. We've hit 2,000 subscribers. Shocking. All I was going to say is shocking. The theory was I was going to do a competition. I've not had a chance to sort of sort anything out with that, so I do apologise. I will try and get a competition of some sort done in the next few videos. So I'll just do a random competition, not sort of trying to align it to any sort of milestone or anything. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you in a future video.